morning. We are into March now, and I'll be honest with you, I think this might be my last session as part of my winter campaign. We've got about 2 weeks until the official first day of spring, and that's usually my cutoff. But I've got a lot to do next weekend, and I don't know if I'll get out again after today. Conditions are definitely different from the last time I saw you, and they have been very up and down in that, I guess, 2 weeks. So when I saw you last, what a great time. I was able to smack a couple of fish right at the end of the session. 4 fish in succession, all in the span of about 35-40 minutes. All came to 2 of the rods, the 2 rods fishing to my left. Subsequently, both the rods that were fishing the brighter hook baits. If I remember right, I have to check my notes. So that was that late bite window, after 3 p.m., like 3:15 to 3:40, 3:45. And then it just shut right off, and I was here for about another hour after that. That flurry of bites, and not even so much as a bump. I did come back the very next morning, and I fished from sunrise until noon. I had 1 pickup, and when I brought it in, the line was tangled. So it seems like my rig was out there not fishing effectively. A fish picked it up, but it was too tangled to get hooked. So things didn't happen. I've not been out since then, and now we are in the first couple days of March. Got all 3 rods out. We just had, so it's Sunday morning now, and on Friday night, all through the night, right through till Saturday morning. Quiet down. You're making too much noise. Friday night, right through till Saturday morning, we had kind of a nasty storm that came up from the States that it started out as like a slushy wet snow or like a slushy icy rain, and it turned to snow, then back to rain, and it was just real nasty stuff that came down all night. And because of that, I chose not to come out yesterday. I would have been driving in that really nasty stuff all the way down here, and that wasn't particularly appealing to me. I don't mind fishing in that. I don't really like driving in it. You know, I can get in the brawly, I can get the rods out, and I can get comfortable. Big swan flying by. Must be going to meet up with the other one over there. So yeah, I chose not to drive down here in the morning and you know, set up in that sloppy weather, because I was expecting it to last all day. The weather reports said it was going to last quite a while. So I sat at home. I sat at the desk and did some editing and just worked on videos pretty much all day. So, you know, sitting down in the dark basement at my desk, glued to the monitors for, you know, a couple hours first thing. I was still up at my normal time. I was, you know, up and ready to go by 5 a.m., but chose not to go. So it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. I went upstairs, made myself a coffee, looked out the window, and wasn't it just the sunniest, most beautiful freaking day we've had in weeks? All the slushy crap was melting. The road was clear. Half of what was on my van had melted off. So even faster than it came in, it was gone. So literally where I'm sitting at this time yesterday morning, there was probably 3 or 4 inches of snow, like wet, slushy snow, and now there's just patchy snow. I'm sitting on grass. So I should have come out yesterday, and I'm really kicking myself for not doing it. However, as I mentioned, the conditions are different. Because of all that rain and snow and slush, there's been a lot of runoff. So my son did come with me, and we drove down here yesterday afternoon to look at the conditions. Every little creek that feeds into the river here was just pumping out muddy water. So as a result, the shoreline water, pretty much all the way along, right from Fort Erie all the way down to the falls, from right at the shoreline out, pretty much to the main drop off. It's all kind of like a brown muddy water, but not terrible. Like there's still over a foot of visibility. It's just the water's brown instead of that greenish blue. Once you get out into the main flow, it's the regular greenish blue color, nice and clear. So all the colored water is in close. So that does a couple things for us. One, the muddy water typically warms up faster if the sun gets on it. Two, it creates a sort of false overhead cover. So, the eagles and the osprey and stuff aren't going to see the fish, and they aren't going to see anything above them. So they're going to be more focused with what's right in front of their nose, what's on the bottom, which is my rigs. I've typically done better here through the winter when it's muddy and stained water than I have when it's clear. Once it gets warmer, you want clear water. But when it's really cold and snowy and crappy, the muddy water seems to be what does it best. The temperature is up. It's 4 degrees already. I think it's just about 7 a.m. I was meant to be here much earlier, but when I got up, more of the icy, slushy rain. So I took a very cautious drive down here. I wasn't going to miss another opportunity, given that I only had the 2 days this weekend. Very, very cautious drive down here. Got here 5:30. I had hoped to be fishing by 5, and I didn't even get here till 5:30. Set up the brawly and got all the gear tucked inside to get it out of the rain. Managed to get some rigs changed. Hopefully I can get a fish to talk to you about the rigs. I have 2 rigs that are outside of my norm, and one that is my standard, has become my go-to German rig with the size 4 chlor bait screw with a pop-up, relatively short. But I have 2 other rigs on that have come to me from a friend who tied them up. Don't know if I'm allowed to actually mention the company yet. We'll have to see. If by the time I have this all put together, I'm allowed to mention the company, I'll put it up on the screen, like right here, maybe. But it's a new company he's starting, and he's offering some rigs, some pre-tied rigs with some benefits over, kind of the way we normally do things. And so he sent me a few, and I've got two of those rigs out right now. One on the right hand rod and one on the middle rod. The left rod is my normal go-to, my confidence rig. I've had a little bit of indication on the middle rod so far. That's it, just a little bit of movement. I'm not fishing sticks as I have been, and as I typically do, I did break down and make pack bait this morning. With that, the last few sessions I've been spotting a nice particle mix, tiger nuts, some maize, a lot of chops, all soaked in the cold water green beast DNA liquid, which I have with me. Sorry, pellets. I don't know where I set it down. I can't keep track of things in my barrel. It's a disaster. But the cold water green beast DNA liquid, and I have that. I can see it now that I moved it right here. So this is that kind of two-stage liquid where it's two opposing liquids that separate, so you shake them up when you mix it up. So I've got this kind of soaked right through into my pack bait. It's what I've had in my stick mix as well, but putting the sticks out, I think waiting for the PVA to break down and then all that stick mix to absorb the water to really be of value out there. I think that's kind of been preventing me from getting bites within a certain time frame. So putting a wet mix out there that's going to break down really quick with minimal movement, that the fish are going to go nuts for, and it's going to kind of spread out, and it's also a little bit brighter, kind of like a whitish color with the panko and the oats that are in there. I think it's going to be a little bit more noticeable scent-wise and visual-wise in this colored water. And with the cold water green beast pop-ups so far being the big hitters the last 2 winters that have got me most of the fish, I kind of want to keep that liquid in the mix out there. So I've been rambling for quite a bit here. Beginning of March, the winter is almost over, almost ready to just revamp everything for spring. But I really want to get one more carp out of the river to finish off this winter campaign. It hasn't been great. I didn't get anything even remotely close to the sizes that I was hoping to, but I have had fish. I've got most of the day. The downside is I technically have to leave right when that bite window, that 3 o'clock bite window, kind of comes into play. So I might have to have a call to the wife to ask if it's okay that the little guy goes with her for a few hours with what she's got to do tonight, just so I can make that bite window. That's probably pushing it, but in all fairness, I stayed home all day yesterday. I didn't accomplish anything around the house whatsoever, but I did stay home. So, maybe that earns me half a brownie point to get that bite window time in on the bank. Alright, I'm done rambling. I'm going to drink my coffee. I'm going to watch these rods. I'm going to watch the bird life. I'm going to enjoy my day. I'm not sure camera got that. And honestly, if I wasn't looking at the rods, I would not have seen it either. The right hand rod, the one that I've got in close, that's got a banana pop-up on it. The rod moved around quite a bit. There was definitely a fish that either got into the line or was picking up the rig. The swivel didn't come out of the lead, so it might have just simply been like a rudd or something. Might not have been a carp, it might have just been a rudd or a fish swimming through the line, but it's a fish. There's nothing else that could have done that. Since I have it out, I'll show you the rig. This is one of those ones I was sent from a friend of mine. So my regular inline setup, about 5.5 inches, 6 inches of braid stripped back from the shot to the hook, and a very long piece of shrink tubing. It's a Monster Carp tackle hook, but the shrink tubing and the way the line comes out is very different from the way I use it. But this was tied very neatly for me to test out, to see how it does for me. Part of a plan he has to offer pre-tied rigs. Now, under the shrink tube, that's a multi-rig. So you can kind of fish it slip D style with the way this long kicker is. But at the end of the day, if I dull that hook, I can take that piece of shrink tube off, replace the hook, slap it back together, or even put a new piece of shrink tube on, and I'm not wasting the rest of the hook link, which is kind of the point of what he's doing, making sure that everything's reusable. So I'm going to get a little bit of pack bait on here. It's just oats, some panko, a little bit of cream corn mixed in with that DNA liquid so that I can get some flavor throughout. And then just for some bits in there that they can feed on, there's some Coldwater Green Beast boilie chops in there. They're really light in color as well, so helps them stand out on the bottom. Couple of food, just, you know, there might only be 4 or 5 little chops in here, maybe a whole boilie. Just a couple of small food items to go with this stuff in case a group of fish come through, just like last time. But that's the close in rod. That's probably only in about 3.5–4 feet of water. Only really a few rod lengths out. So we've had an occurrence early. We didn't have to wait for the whole day. So I'm going to get this back out now that I've got some bait on there, banana pop-up. Get this back on the spot and see what happens. It's been a long day, a really long day. I'll have to double check the time, but we're definitely well into the afternoon at this point. I don't think we're quite at that 3 o'clock, 3:30ish bite window that I'm expecting. But we got a fish. And I'll be honest with you, looking at the colors and how healthy this fish is, if this is the last fish of my winter campaign, I'm more than okay with it. Beautiful mid-double. It's got a really neat kind of scar on the side where it damaged a few scales. A unique little fish. Great fight, absolutely great fight. And this came to the cold water green beast pink pop-up that I had on the far left rod. I've since, once I put this fish in the net, I took the rod that's on the right, the one that had the indication this morning close in, and I've cast that over to the spot on the left where I got this bite from, to try and maximize on the time frame if there's another fish over there. What a beauty. That's a gorgeous fish. The pink in the belly, the red on the fins. This is just one of those things that really helps my motivation to get out winter carping. It's just the colors you get, you know, the really pale green or gray on the back, and then the vibrant colors underneath. It's just absolutely stunning. I'm gonna get this fish back. I'm gonna get this rod back out. I'm gonna see if I can get 2 on that spot. And yeah. It might be my last fish of the winter campaign, but if it is, I'm so happy. Okay, all 3 rods are back out. Just a bit of a change up. So the right hand rod is now my longer rod. It's kind of the furthest one out, the one I always try to put out near the drop off. So that rod's been shuffled over on the pod. What was the left hand rod, after I had that fish and moved some things around, but the position the left rod was fishing, that rod is now moved to the middle of the pod, and the rod that I had the fish on is now back on the right, but I've actually gone further in from where I had it. So I kind of have the left and the middle about 2 or 3 rod lengths apart, kind of just on either side of the spot, where I had that fish and where I had 2 the last time. So I've got 2 rods working kind of what I think is the optimal spot, and the right hand rod is that further one out. I always like to have a rod out there, and because there's been no further indication or anything on the short line, the one that I kind of keep straight out in close, that's why I thought, okay, I'll move them all over to the activity area, the slightly deeper water. But yeah, it's not quite that time that I was expecting to be bite time. That's still coming up shortly. So I'm a little bit surprised I had that fish, to be honest with you. Had I not been looking at the rod, would that fish have managed to get himself free before any line moved and showed any indication on the alarm? Hard to say. Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on things, and hopefully I've got batteries going again. Hopefully we can pick another one up shortly. I would really, really love to get that, get something over 20 pounds to wrap this up, but again, if that was the last fish of the winter campaign, man, what a beauty that was.
Well, as you can see behind me, there's a tripod with a scale. I was starting to pack up. I'm right in bite time, and one of the local guides just ripped in on his boat and is parked right on top of where all 3 of my lines were. So I was really thinking that I was done for. Sat here all day for the bite window, and as soon as I get into that bite window, then boom, kind of everything's spoiled. But I didn't move the lines. His casting doesn't seem to be hooking my lines, so let him do his thing. I let him know that my lines were there. It didn't seem to change anything. I did move one because where he's casting, I had one positioned right there. So I moved one out so it's not in his way. My other 2 are kind of behind him and he's not casting that way at the moment. So I'm like, okay, good. And the left-hand rod, the one I tucked in even closer, the same green beast pop-up that I had the fish on earlier, and I just hooked a tank. I definitely got a winter 20, but it may be bigger. I'm thinking definitely over 24, but I just zeroed the scale, got it all wet, zeroed the sling on the scale. I'm gonna go down and get the fish. It's just sitting in the net. I'm gonna get it in the sling and carry it up and see what she goes. Right smack on 26 pounds. For sure, it's my biggest winter fish ever. Earliest in the season I've ever had a fish over 20 pounds. I'm gonna get this fish down, I'm gonna get some water on it, I'm gonna get set up, I'll do a couple photos, and I'll let you get a look at it. Smile. Okay. So like I said, another one to the green beast pop-up. I've done my photos real quick. How's that? 26 pounds, winter upper Niagara River carp. The other side, this fish is so thick, just solid. Okay, I gotta get this fish back in the water. Oh my God, I'm soaked now.
just coming up on 5 p.m. I'm gonna have to take everything down and head home very soon. It's been an hour since I had that last fish. I'll be honest with you, at this point I have no idea what footage I did get. Everything was just kind of a jumble and a blur. So yeah, the boat angler that's sitting on that spot, I only had to move the one line so that I was kind of clear of where he was casting. The other two I was able to keep where they were, and that's how I managed to get that fish. I had indication on the other one in that spot. I think maybe it was just a rudd or a sucker or something. It was very definitive bites on the tip, but it wasn't taking the line out of the clip. And when I picked up the rod and tried to strike into something, there was nothing there. So yeah, super happy that I got that 26 pounder, but at this point now, because of where the guy's boat is, I'm really leery about putting a little bit more oomph into my casts to get them back on that spot because he's so close to it, and I don't want to hit his boat. Hello. I was just about to say that I have one rod straight out. That's the one that I moved to completely keep out of the way. That's fish. That's fish.
Pop-ups.
Nice.
Oh, it's another pig.
Really? A mirror or just a common?
What's that?
Is it a mirror carp or a common?
Oh, it's a common. It's just another big one.
Nice.
Oh wow, that's crooked. I have no idea what that captured. I was just talking to the boat angler because he just had a pike at the same time I had that fish. I was literally just about to tell you that I couldn't get my two lines back to the spots I wanted to, so they're dropped short and I'm not really happy with them. And the one that's in the net might even be bigger than the last one. To get that 20, that was my secondary target for a winter fish. It's gonna be damn close. This fish is either the same size or bigger. If I got a winter 30, I am gonna be so freaking over the moon. Okay, it's in the net. I gotta set the tripod and everything back up again. I'll be back in a few minutes. I got my winter 30. Let's take a look. Is that coming through? 31 pounds. My first winter 30, right after my first winter 20. Okay, let's get a look at this fish. other side. Smile. There we go. 31 pounds of winter carp. Upper Niagara winter carp. What a gorgeous fish. This one came to that rig I got from my friend. The multi-rig that he tied with the long shrink tube. The point's definitely dinged on that, so I can swap out the hook, but still have the same rig. And he's gonna be happy to know that it just pulled in my biggest winter fish ever. Smile. Okay, winter campaign is done. I'm going home. What's that? I already got all that, thanks. Everything's voice controlled, so I just talk to it and it takes pictures. Thanks, man. I'm out of breath and I'm soaked. Can you tell I'm a happy boy? What has two thumbs and just got both of his winter targets back to back. This guy. And what made it even sweeter is the pike angler over there just sent me a congratulations, yelling it over. He even offered to come over and do pictures, even though I have everything I need to take care of that. You know what? He's redeemed. I'm no longer kind of pissy towards him. You know, he kept his casts going one way while where I had two rods that were out of his way. I got two amazing fish right behind him, even though he was there. I would have thought for sure that my afternoon was ruined because he pulled in there, and it only got better. He's had fish. He had a couple pike. I've had two amazing carp. After a bizarre mid-day, mid-double that I had. So 3 for the day. My first 20 of the winter. My first 30 winter carp. Both out of the Niagara, my home river. The river that is probably best described as my mistress. Speaking of which, my wife is waiting for me to get home. I need to pack everything down. I got 2 lines in while I do it, but I'm done. Winter campaign over, and what a way to finish.